Hi all, this is Once and Future Gamer and welcome to another Pokemon Challenge. Last time we had a reminiscing run through Pokemon White 2 as we sought to see if I could beat it with a single Charmander. Today though, we head back to Gen 2 and in a belated Halloween challenge, see if I can beat Pokemon Crystal with a single Misdreavus. Misdreavus is a ghost type with a decent base stat total, so you may be wondering where the challenge will be. Aha! I'll get into that shortly. 435 base stat total is nothing to sneeze at, with a really good set of special stats and speed. The physicals are nothing impressive, but there's nothing we can do about that. It's still better than some Pokemon I've used. Only 2 weaknesses in Ghost and Dark, 2 immunities to normal and fighting, since this is before abilities were a thing, and 2 resistances in Poison and Bug. The challenge comes with the move set. This is horrendous, as we begin with Psywave, which is not the best. About the only damaging level up move we get is Psybeam, and that's not until level 27, so not ideal. I may get some use out of Pain Split, but that's debatable. We don't even get too much via TM. There's Hidden Power, which is hopefully something we can use. Thunder and Psychic aren't potentially until much later in the game. Thief may give us something, but it's weak. Shadow Ball is Stab, but it was physical in this gen, so we are not going to get the best out of it. We can get Thunderbolt via Tutor in Crystal, but it's not until much later in the game. This challenge was kinda, sorta, suggested by Dennis Varker, so any ideas for future challenges, head to the comment section down below or follow the link in the description to my Twitter or my Discord. As always, thanks for watching, hope you enjoy, and if you do, please leave a like, subscribe and ring that bell. It doesn't particularly matter which Pokemon I replace with the Universal Pokemon Randomizer, so I replace Cyndaquil with Misdreavus, so that I can do the whole run with it. For Alligator is probably as good as anything for us to fight, since the rival is associated with that Pokemon that bit more. When I get the Ghost type, I nickname it Cassidy, just purely for the Marvel reference. Why then is the opening to this game going to be hard? One word, Psywave. It's the only damaging move we get for a while, and here is the problem with Psywave. First of all, the 80% accuracy, not ideal, and the 15 PP. That's worrying. That is the same accuracy as Stone Edge, I believe. Then, the damage. It will always do a random amount of damage, varying between doing 1 HP of damage and 1.5 times the user's level. At level 5, that roughly equates to about 7 points of damage maximum. At a higher level, it may be useful, but wishful thinking. While I'm fighting towards Mr. Pokemon, the problem is seen with this, because if we get a high roll and it hits, the move is fine. If we miss or get a low roll, it's not good in the slightest. The rival fight could be insanely easy, or it could be absolutely horrific, so we shall see. It depends on what Psywave does. It is worth remembering that thanks to our Ghost typing, he is not going to be able to hurt us even slightly. And if we get a lot of misses and low damage rolls, then we may struggle to end the fight. As it is, it isn't too bad. There are a few misses from Psywave, but as said, we do take absolutely no damage over the course of the fight. And quite frankly, my worry always is that we are going to run out of Psywave PP, have to drain all our other PP, and then finish the opponent off with struggle. That's something I will be concerned about until we do get better moves. But until then, there will definitely be the Flying Gym. There might well be a Bug Gym, and probably another rival fight, so we've got a long way to go. We beat the rival, no problem now, but it's a concern. Anyway, on the subject of the Flying Gym, let's go do that. I am worried for sure, especially with Mud Slap damaging our accuracy. We are not immune to ground type moves here, but we'll have to deal. I've gone through Bellsprout Tower beforehand to boost our levels. They'll be important right now until we can get better moves. We do at least get Swift after this gym, so that'll be fine for now. Anyway, Faulkner actually goes well. We have Confuse Ray, so I make sure to land that at the start of the battle with Pidgey, and just give us that chance of it not attacking us. It never does manage to land an attack, and eventually we do manage to take it down with Psywave. It worked there, and there's not a whole lot more I can do tactic-wise, so I do exactly the same thing versus Pidgeotto. Confuse Ray it right at the start, and then blast it with Psy Waves. We never get a miss, and it hits itself a bunch of times in confusion. That is the ideal combination. We can soon take it out to give us the first badge in a vital win. Now, it's through Union Cave I go, where I do eventually get the TM for Swift, a move that does at least give us a consistent way of hitting damage. And then it's into Azalea Town, where we have to give Team Rocket a kicking before the fight with Bugsy. I always think that Gen 2 has a nice pace. I'm not looking forward to the rival fight if we don't have Psybeam before it, which we probably won't, but it's just Ghastly in that fight that might be an issue. Bugsy, let me see, I think we should be good. We do get some fortune in this fight, so that's very good. Both Metapod and Kakuna are 2-hit takedowns with Swift, but their move choice benefits us. Metapod only goes for Harden on the free turn, and that doesn't save it from the second Swift, before Kakuna goes for and fails with String Shot. I have been poisoned by Kakuna before, so massive relief. It makes the fight with Cypher a lot harder if we're poisoned and slower. We are faster than Cypher as it does happen, and since it's a dangerous opponent, I go for Confuse Ray to make things trickier for him, and we just keep landing Swifts over and over. It does hit a few Fury Cutters, but nothing major, and after a few turns we do take it out for the win. Okay then, rival fight, let's get this over and done with, because, as I said, I'm worried about that Ghastly. The only move we have that can hit it is Psy Wave. It might sound strange to worry given our level advantage, but we are probably only one Hypnosis, a few misses, or low damage rolls, and half a dozen Spites away from being unable to hurt it. Plus, it has potential to paralyse us with a super effective lick, so I am right to be worried, I think. We get the Confuse Ray on Ghastly, and then that prediction kinda happens as we get hit with Hypnosis and then spited a bunch of times, losing a lot of PP. That's always a problem in runs in these games. This rival fight is probably the one that has the most potential for worry. Our Psy Wave does hit a few times. It does worry me when the first one doesn't do a lot of damage, but my fatal prediction never comes to pass. Zubat is easy enough. It does hit a super effective bite, but we shrug it off, and we can too hit that with Swift. And 3 Swifts are enough to take down Croconaw, despite it landing a crit water gun on us. Thanks to Croconaw not being a special attacker and our decent special defence, we shrug those water attacks off and win. Satanic Cow is next, and I should be fine here for sure. Rollout is about the only thing I have to worry about, since she can't stomp us. In Gen 4 it has the Scrappy ability, which lets her hit ghosts, but we're fine here. We'll have Psybeam by then too, so decent move. It is good to get rid of Psy Wave. It is far too unpredictable for long term use. When it comes to the fight with Whitney, it goes well despite some Miltank annoyance. Clefairy is a single hit knockout with Psybeam when we get the crit, and that is really good before it's time for the cow. We go for 2 Confuse Rays over the course of the fight. Not that it's really that useful because it never hits itself, but repeated Psybeam's attack on that Miltank do eventually take their toll, and we bring it down. It does hit some rollouts on us, not that it's anything we can't deal with. Anyway, let's head into the next bit of the game now. While we are heading to Ecruteak City, let's do some Misdreavus trivia, since it feels like I've not done one of these for a while. Psy Wave was its signature move in Gen 2, but also, before Generation 4, it also had Pain Split. Its first 2 anime appearances both involved members of the legendary Beast Trio, as both Raikou and Entei appeared in those episodes. It can be seen as a parallel to Murkrow. They both evolved with a Dusk Stone. They both have evolved forms introduced in Gen 4. Both are version exclusives in Gens 3, 4, 5 and 8. Misdreavus in what I like to think as the second games, as in Leaf Green, Pearl, White and Shining Pearl. Murkrow in Fire Red, Diamond, Black and Brilliant Diamond. in Pokemon Colosseum, Misdreavus is the only ghost-type Pokemon that can be snagged. Misdreavus is listed after Murkrow in the National Pokédex, but its evolved form, Mismagius, comes before Murkrow's evolved form in Honchkrow. This one you probably already know, but it was the first pure ghost-type Pokemon to be introduced and the only ghost-type in Gen 2. It possibly may be based on the Banshee, or alternatively, various spirits from Japan. I do like doing these random bits of trivia, you know, or at least when there's trivia to be found. Not always the case. Before we can do the Ghost Gym, we've got to do the Burn Tower rival fight, since this is mandatory in Crystal, rather than optional as it is in base Gold and Silver. The tower is laid out a bit different to that game, but I don't think his team is that different. It nearly catches me out, but I think it is largely so. You do have to trigger Suicune, Reiko and Entei running off, because in base Gold and Silver you can get away without doing that. I think at some point soon I'll go get the Hidden Power TM and see what that is. Anyway, rival fight is mostly smooth up until the end anyway. Haunter is first and we blast it with Psybeam for a knockout that fills me with confidence ahead of the Ghost Gym. Next is Zubat, who is also a single hit with Psybeam, as might be expected. Croconaw is also a single hit takeout with Psybeam, thanks to an unexpected crit. And all that's left is Magnemite. Steel types are going to be a worry here in this challenge. Magnemite survives Psybeam and confuses us with Supersonic, but we fight through and take it out with another Psybeam that crits. I will want a decent hidden power type. Fire or water, preferably, to deal with steel types. Maybe ground. Ground would be okay, but fire or water would use our special attack stat. So then, it is time for Morty, and I think we might be fine. It's a bit of a cliche, but Morty should absolutely 1,000,000% have had a Misdreavus in this game. It's nothing short of disgusting that he didn't. Maybe Game Freak hated Gen 2 with the lack of Gen 2 Pokemon in the Johto gyms. There are 22 Pokemon used by the gym leaders across Johto, and only 4 of those 22 are native to the region. Miltank, Steelix, Piloswine and Kingdra. I'd like to say Game Freak loving Gen 1 Pokemon went away as time went by, but draw your own conclusions as to that. Anyway, Morty is about as smooth as might be expected. We Psybeam our way through the entire fight, taking out the Ghastly and the first Haunter with Psybeams, before the Gengar comes out. I am a little sure if we'll one-hit that or not. We don't, but it thankfully misses Hypnosis and we finish that off. Gengar's Crystal Sprite is pretty good in my opinion. Also, we can soon take out the second Haunter with Psybeam, so we can move on with 4 badges in hand. I think I will head west next. I'll do the fighting gym and save Amphi, and then I'll probably tackle the ice gym before dealing with the steel gym. That is my plan of attack. When I go up to the Lake of Rage, I will grab the Hidden Power TM while there, since it saves me going there twice, and I shouldn't need any help with the fighting gym. I think we will probably succeed massively there. They won't be able to hurt us much, so we should be fine. Chuck never really is a massive issue, unless we get tagged with Dynamic Punch, which is not something we have to worry about here. I don't think Primeape can even hurt us. We blast it out with a Psybeam to prove that point and take it down easily. Poliwrath is second. I do not know if we'll one-hit it. We don't, spoiler alert. But even if it can hit us with Surf, I fancy our chances of surviving that easily. Instead, it misses Hypnosis. We down it with a second Psybeam. 5 badges down, Lake of Rage time. While I am there, I grab the Hidden Power TM with the interest of testing out what it is, since we are a bit stuck for coverage. I might well go and get the Thunder TM from the game corner at some point. It may be useful, but I'm not sure how much of a go-to move it will actually be. I'd much prefer a useful hidden type power for sure. And by the looks of it, we have actually ended up with the Fire type. It does neutral damage to a Noctowl, super effective damage to a Venomoth, and resisted by a Goldeen. So that changes things indeed. That is, fortuitously, exactly what I wanted. While going through the Rocket Hideout, just a few things about the channel. I think I am going to keep these briefer and briefer. Right, so I've been playing Fable 2, Bayonetta, and also I began playing Pokemon Colosseum as well, since I have been threatening to do that for quite a while. This is at the time of writing, which was one day after the White 2 with Charmander video uploaded, so another 2 weeks until you hear this potentially, so I'm not sure what will have uploaded and what won't have in that time. There's probably been a few more episodes of Pokemon Master Showdown since then. Definitely will have been Pyramid King Brandon versus Tate and Liza for episode 2, and yeah, probably Gary Oak versus Trial Captain Mina in the 3rd episode too. Next Pokemon challenge is going to be a Gen 1 challenge, since it has been a while. Last Gen 1 challenge was in June, believe it or not, and that is going to be Pokemon Yellow with a single Voltorb. As always, any ideas for future challenges, head to the comment section down below or follow links in the description to my Twitter or my Discord. Always happy to hear what you have in mind. I do have some challenges planned through until the start of March next year, but I can move some stuff around if I get an idea put in I really want to do. Before the end of the year, there's a Yellow challenge, I've already mentioned it, a Platinum challenge, an Emerald challenge, and a Pokemon Y challenge too. I am happy with what's immediately coming. I also said a few times that I wanted to get back into the TCG, and I've delivered, as I recently bought some for the first time in a very long time, and I'm way interested in doing an unboxing video. Now, I would say whether I already did or not is up for debate, but since this is recording on AFG speaking, I have actually done that, and that unboxing video might well be up right now. Anyway, as always, if you do enjoy what you see, then don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Still aiming for that 300 subscribers mark by the end of the year, and it ain't going well. Anyway, back to the scheduled content. Thanks for watching. Ice Gym then. Shouldn't be a problem. Never really is. I think we'll tear through Price pretty easily. It's usually getting to him that is the only minorly annoying thing here, and having to do the ice slide puzzle. But compared to the one in Sinnoh and even the one in Carlos, it is pretty tame. There's a sort of familiar linearity to it, which makes it not too bad once you realise how and where. Price is pretty straightforward as expected. Seal goes down to a single Psybeam, we crit it, but I think that blast might still have ended it before Dewgong is next, and that thing is tanky. We have to land 2 Psybeams to take it out. We get hit with an Aurora Beam in exchange, which massively not an issue, and then we can face Piloswine. It does survive our hidden power on red health and land Blizzard, but even when he heals, he's only delaying the inevitable, and we can take it out with 2 more hidden powers in quick succession. That's 6 badges in. I run back to Olivine. It's a funny psychological quirk. I'd rather double speed run back there than get a Pokemon out of the PC and teach it fly to fast travel there, because I think getting the Pokemon out of the PC is a waste of time. Even though I've got to go get something out of the PC to surf over the water. Hey, I don't understand it either, but here we are. Anyway, Jasmine is a pretty smooth fight thanks to us having that fire type hidden power, as we get through the fight without taking any damage. Now, the first 2 Pokemon, both of her Magnemite, because again, it would be a crime to have another Gen 2 Johto Pokemon in there, like Skarmory or Forretress or Scizor. They both get shot down with that hidden power. Neither of them is capable of standing up thanks to the low special defense that Magnemite have. Steelix does somehow survive the hidden power on red health, and then, just to add insult to injury, it misses an Iron Tail. She does heal it, but again, she's delaying the inevitable, and we down it with 2 more hidden powers for the win, and we can move on. We have got the radio tower to clean Team Rocket out of next, and the highlight is the rival battle, which is the only thing here that I am going to discuss. I did at least get the return TM, so that's probably going to be majorly handy when we get into the latter part of the game, since Swift is probably losing some of its punch by now. Anyway, the rival fight is pretty swift, as we take down his Golbat at the start with a Psybeam. We drop that like a stone for a quick victory. Sneasel is next, and I love how it actually looks like Sneasel in this game as opposed to how it looks in Gold and Silver. We take it out with hidden power. Alligator is a 2-hit with Psybeam, but it does hit us with a bite for moderate damage before the next opponent is Magnemite. And as might be expected, a hidden power brings it down. Last is Haunter, but our Psybeam rips through it and we have the victory in record quick time to move us on. That will be the last major fight now for a while until we get to the Dragon Gym. And on the subject of the Dragon Gym, here we go. I have used my return TM ahead of schedule. I figured it was going to be needed, and so I set out to head into the gym. There is always a trainer who uses a level 37 Dragonair in this gym, so it is a good barometer of how you will do versus Claire. It is probably fair to say that Claire is the hardest gym leader in Johto, even though there is probably not much competition for that title. And with return, it is a straight sweep through her, as we take Dragonair number 1 out with return, with no sort of reply, and we soon do the same to Dragonair number 2 in similar fashion, before Dragonair number 3 puts up the same amount of fight, which is to say, none at all. So far so good, and with that it's Kingdra. Now we crit our return and bring it down to do the last of the gym battles, for now anyway. Before we can get to the Elite Four, we have the small matter of the rival fight in Victory Road, and again, I'm not really worried as we go to face him. He is the victim of the Johto level curve, or lack thereof. We start versus Sneasel and down it with a hidden power to give us the victory. Golbat is shot down with a Psybeam to put us 2 up in the fight with minimal effort. The third opponent is Magneton, and that gets taken down with a hidden power for the 3rd knockout of the fight. 4th is Haunter, and we Psybeam that for another knockout. 5th is for Alligator, and it's the only one that survives a hit, tanking a return to counter with Water Gun for minimal damage. We finish that with Psybeam before we down Kadabra with a return to give us the victory, and we move on. As we stand in the Indigo Plateau, here are our stats, and they're pretty good, so I think we've got a good chance against the Elite Four. Our special and speed stats are all pretty good, but even our regular attack isn't too bad, all things considered. Only our defences are a little below everything else, but I've done runs with Pokemon that have a lot worse stats at a lot higher level. Will, Koga and Bruno shouldn't be issues in the slightest, though I fear what may happen versus Karen, and I'm not sure if we'll have enough to beat Lance just quite yet, but we shall see. Take your guesses on if we can win at this level or not right now, folks. Let's do this. Psychic type trainer Will is first, and it could be argued that this is where Shadow Ball might have come in handy. It could be argued that, but I'm not going to argue the point. Return is probably just about superior, even with Shadow Ball being stab. So we've got to do what we've got to do. Anyway, this is pretty much a sweep. Xatu number 1 goes down to return to give us a win before he decides to send in Xatu number 2 to see if it does any better. Nope, no it does not, and we take it out with return. Slowbro is a 2-hit with return. It only goes for amnesia though, so that doesn't really do it any favours before we down Jinx with return 2. Executor at the last is shot down with hidden power, and that gives us a win. 1 down then. On to Poison Trainer Koga then, and I have a pretty good feeling about this since we have a Psychic type move. Let's see what sort of havoc we can unleash on his team when we start Psybeaming everything that moves. And given 80% of his team is weak to the move, I don't think he's walking away victorious. It is pretty much another sweep as the fight begins. Ariados goes down to Psybeam for a quick knockout, as does Venomoth very shortly afterwards. The third opponent is Forretress, who we need hidden power for, and given our fire type is quad effective, we wreck it hard. Muck goes down to Psybeam, and at the last, Crobat survives Psybeam on a Sliver. However, it gets confused, it hits itself, and we get the win to take Koga down. Fighting Trainer Bruno is third, and I do not think this is going to end well for him. Mind you, I'm not sure if we will one-hit everything on his team with Psybeam. There may be some shock survivals here and there, but we will have to see. This fight is almost a mirror of the Koga one. Hitmontop goes down to Psybeam to put us 1 up in the fight, and I think this is going to be short. Hitmonlee goes down to Psybeam, and it's not long after that the same thing happens to Hitmonchan to put us 3 up. Onyx doesn't survive Psybeam, even though it isn't super effective, and then Machamp is last. It does survive Psybeam on red health, but gets confused, hits itself, and just as Crobat did, knocks itself out to give us the win. It's going really well so far. Dark Trainer Karen is 4th, and I think this may possibly be where things come crashing to a halt. She has that Umbreon right at the start, who I sincerely doubt we are going to be able to one-hit with return. And it has a really dangerous move in Sand Attack, so if that hits, we might be screwed for the rest of the fight. An errant miss somewhere can be fatal. We find that out in the first 2 attempts, when we lose to Umbreon first and then Murkrow second. On the 3rd attempt, Umbreon survives return and goes to Feint Attack, which we shrug off and take it down with return at the 2nd attempt. Murkrow doesn't survive return due to being more frail, and neither does Houndoom. And with the 3 dark types down, it's time to move on to the poison types. Vileplume is knocked out with a Psybeam, and the last opponent, the Gengar, is taken down quickly too with the same move. 4 down. Just Champion Lance left then, and I feel as if we need to be careful. I do not think we'll one-hit the Dragonite, and given they all have paralysis capability, that's something to be worried about. We shall see if we can or not very shortly. I'm not saying we won't win, I'm saying we need fortune to favour us. There are a few efforts where we get knocked out, once notably by Aerodactyl, one by the final Dragonite, but these are down to the effects of paralysis gripping us and hindering our ability to fight back. On the final attempt, we get extremely lucky. Gyarados goes to Rain Dance, but is a takedown with return and Psybeam, before Dragonite number 1 is a 2-hit with return, but misses Thunder Wave. Dragonite number 2 is also a 2-hit with return, and also misses a Thunder Wave on us, giving us a free pass into Aerodactyl, who we fire Psybeams at and take down in short order, despite getting hit with Rock Slide. Charizard is dealt with via 2 returns, striking a Flamethrower in exchange, and then it's down to the final Dragonite, who only goes for Safeguard as its counter attack, and we down it with 2 returns for a victory. This was actually hard won. We might have swept the rest of the game, but this was a bit of a roadblock. With Lance defeated, we claim our title as champion, we move into the Hall of Fame, and ta-da, the credits roll. But yet, it's Kanto. There is a whole separate set of post-game, and thus we set out to fight towards Blue and Red. And when it comes down to the fight with Blue, we stand outside the Viridian Gym, ready to go. I think we could be fine here. We do get a crit on Pidgeot right at the start with return, which means that it goes down easily. Rhydon is a 2-hit with Psybeam and goes for Sandstorm, since I forgot to teach it Psychic. Gyarados survives return and gets rid of the Sandstorm with Rain Dance before he heals it, but we take it out with Psybeam and another return. Arcanine goes down to a return, and Alakazam does the same shortly, not standing up to our move. Last is Executor, and we blast it down with Hidden Power for the win. Easy money. Know who probably won't be an easy win? Red. I can see this being tricky. We're not that over-leveled come this point, so we will have to see how we do. If there was going to be a time when maybe we could do it at a low level, relatively speaking, it might be now with this quite powerful Pokemon compared to what we normally use, so we will have to see. Anyway, let's see what happens. It takes quite a few attempts and we lose a lot of them to Blastoise, who is just too tanky after we fought through Charizard and Venusaur, but eventually we get this run. Pikachu is always a 1-hit with return, we are faster, and that Pokemon, despite being a high level, is not an issue in the slightest. Snorlax is always what he sends out second, and I genuinely don't think it can hurt us, since it only ever goes for Amnesia or Rest. That is usually a free hit without a crit. Venusaur is usually a 2-hit, even with the super effective Psychic attack. The problems come from when it goes for Sunny Day, because that powers up Charizard's Flamethrower. Charizard isn't a 2-hit either, and the Flamethrower hurts a lot, especially when we take 2 of them. When it comes to Blastoise, I finally get some use out of Pain Split to recover health and hurt Blastoise, while we have to tank Surfs and take it out with 2 returns. When Espeon comes out last, I go for another Pain Split, we tank a Psychic and finish that with return for the win. Phew! Okay then, so that was pretty smooth. Maybe not much of a challenge on the surface, but remember what I said about the moveset. We coped in the end, but that was the worry. Thanks for watching, I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like, a comment, and if you haven't already done so, subscribe away. Join me again next time for another Pokemon challenge as we head to Pokemon Yellow and see if I can beat it with just a single Voltorb. That might be another challenge similar to this one in terms of the moveset. I am looking at what Voltorb gets in Gen 1 now, and yikes. Anyway, we'll see. I'm looking forward to doing a Gen 1 challenge for the first time in months. A lot's happened since I used coughing in that run back at the start of June. It might seem a cop-out, but at the time of writing and at the time of recording, I really don't want to talk too much about what's going on in my personal life. I feel like I stand on a precipice at this moment in time. Things feel like they could be about to change, and I don't really want to make a few statements about my personal life that will stay on YouTube possibly forever. Hope you understand. With that there, I'm going to step out, folks. So, as always, thanks for watching, take care now, have a great day, and I will see you next time. So long, farewell, bye-bye now. Hey, this video was like half the length of some of the previous ones. Anyway, bye.